the Netherworld president.
What's happening, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to provide you guys with my review for Disgaea 4: A Promise Revisited. In terms of the story is relatively simple to understand. What has happened is that Lord Valdu was currently training the new recruits of Prunies, and at the very end he had promised them one sardine until the Prunies decide to disappear. You end up finding out that the president of the Underworld himself has issued an extermination for the Prunies and has sent out an extermination squad to take care of them. But the Lord Valdu currently himself is not too pleased about this because he had promised one sardine to the Prunies, and he is not going to let them go until he keeps his promise. So now you're on a quest to basically save the Prunies so that way the Lord could keep his promise, and that's where the story goes. As for the graphics, visually this game looks really good on the PlayStation Vita. There's a lot of color added to this game. There's a lot of, colorful sections. There's even some darker sections in the game. But altogether, just the colors were really bright and crisp and looked really good on the PlayStation Vita, whether it's the standard Vita or even the Slim model. As for the gameplay is easy to understand. If you played the past Disgaea games, then the gameplay is going to be very familiar to you. However, if you're a new player, don't worry, because the very first chapter of this game actually shows you everything that you need to know about the game in order to continue playing. Now, one of the things that they've introduced that is relatively new to the game is fusion. Now, the way the fusion works is that you can combine a demon and a creature together. For example, I took the Lord himself, the main character of the game, and I took a creature cat, and I combined those two together in a fusion, and I created what happens to be a cat gun, which was relatively useful. And the way this whole system works is that you have to train the creatures when you fuse them together, because as long as the creatures are powerful enough, you're going to have much more stronger attacks. Another thing you can do is combine a prunie with a prunie together and you make a giant one. Now there is a catch though. You only have 6 turns that you could use your fusion until they defuse, and then you have to wait till a certain amount of turns ends and then you can fuse them once again. But that's one of the new mechanics. They've also brought back some stuff such as upcoming characters from past games into this one, which is a really cool addition altogether. And of course, one of my personal favorites is when you're attacking in the game, you can take a few of the characters together, put them into a certain pattern, and they can do up to a triple attack, which is really cool. So when you see these little mechanics and you have like basically a little cutscene of a special attack going on, that's probably one of my favorite moments of the game. You do have that. And one of the things I did notice in this is that they tweaked the counterattack in the game quite a lot in this title. What I mean is, like, when you attack an enemy, they have a chance to counterattack you or vice versa. And this one, there's a lot of counterattacking going on. For example, there was a portion in the game, at least a couple times in my playthrough, where we pretty much counterattack a total of 9 times. I attacked, he attacked, I attacked, etc., until one of us was dead. I thought, at first it kind of got annoying, but then again, it's really useful during combat mechanics. So it's, some of the things that you might want to watch out for in the game. But other than that, the combat is really smooth. It plays well. As for the sound, overall, the sound was really good for this title. The soundtrack was fantastic to listen to, just like all the past games. And I was relatively surprised of how well the English voice actors were for this title. I mean, especially the person who's playing as the Lord himself. He just brought just all kinds. He really felt like he was the Lord, and he really fit the character perfectly for the humor that happened in the game. But just all the characters all together, I think they did an extremely good job, especially the person who played as the president's son, your advisor, and all that fun stuff. But each of the characters were relatively polished and just fit the tone really well. As for the lifespan, what kind of lifespan do I see for this title? And it really depends on the player. If you're the type of person who really enjoys turn-based RPGs, then this is something that's definitely going to be a must-have and something you're definitely going to be replaying over and over again. However, if you're the type of person who's not really that big into RPGs, then this is something that's probably not going to hold you off, or probably only going to play once and you might want to wait for a price drop. But like I said, if you're a big RPG fan, then this is definitely going to hold you over. There's not like a lot of replay value in terms of collectibles. There's a little bit of collectibles, but nothing too major. And of course, if you go back and replay the story, does the story change? None of that. It's just something to come back to because it's just a fun story of how the Lord just wants to keep his promise and the fact that he loves sardines. As for the innovation, was there anything new here? Was this something that we already seen before? The innovation here was the fact that they've kept the main core mechanics that wasn't broken and was relatively well already in the game. They introduced some more segments such as the fusion and a couple other minor things. They've also introduced some of the characters from past games into this one, so they basically kept on adding what was already good but made it even better. But in the end, I'm going to give Disgaea 4 a Promise Revisited a 9 out of 10. This is definitely a must-have if you're an RPG fan. However, if you're not that big in RPGs, you might want to wait for a price drop or check it out at Gamefly. Anyways, in the end, I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. A really fun game to play. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and always remember guys, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.